drum solo in the audition for Drumset. So if you're not doing Drumset, probably want to check out the other video that's about 8-bar solo. But if you are doing Drumset, you're in the right place. So here's the thing. Well, a couple of things I want to just do right off the bat. One is I want you to, when you think about, I got to play a solo, try to get rid of all the crazy thoughts in your head about how you have to play some crazy, busy, amazing, whatever thing as fast as you can and go crazy and show all these fireworks of display of technique. No, stop that. You don't need to do that, right? It's mostly, can you play your ideas, right? Something you came up with, not written necessarily, right? Not something you're reading out of a book, or you are making it up. It's your thing. That's really what soloing is about, right? So it's your idea with the parameters given, right? And that kind of leads me to the second thing, which is there are a lot of what is on the solo idea that you already know how to do. You already know that we're in 4. You know how to count to 4. So, okay, so it's, and the solo is actually 8 measures long plus a note. So what you're going to hear is 8 clicks on the track. And that's 2 measures of 4, obviously. So you got 8 clicks, that'll set up the tempo, so you know how fast you're going to be playing. And then you play 8 bars of a solo. And we're going to get into a couple ideas, or a few ideas maybe, about what that means. Okay, so first thing is, you don't have to do a million notes. Okay, second thing is, you know some things already, which is we're in 4, we're going to do 8 bars, stop on count 1 of the 9th bar. And also, it's drum set. I mean, you don't necessarily have to show off like, I can play every drum. It's more about conveying the idea of what's happening and fitting something that sounds interesting on top of it. So that kind of leads me, I guess, to one of the things is listen to the track. Right? Just listen to it. You don't have to, you don't want to just turn it on and then ignore it. What you're trying to do is solo on top of it. So listen to what it sounds like, right? Is there kind of a melody going on? Can you use that melody to some degree? Can you use the rhythm part of the melody to your advantage, or just, not to your advantage, well, yeah, to your advantage, about what rhythms to use, right? So you could pick and choose some things in the melody that are helpful and sound good to you, and use those as part of accents or notes you're going to play or whatever. And then also you just got to get a sense of how it feels to, like, the whole thing. So listen to the track, and not one time, like listen to it a bunch of times, and I would start. Okay, so do that. That's the next step. Is listen to it a lot. Next thing is remember that in this style we're doing a swing style, right? So it's jazz swing, and swing is triplet bass. So whatever you do, I would keep it in triplets. Right, that would be my next advice, is just think triplets, right? So just 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet. So you're playing triplets. Okay, great. So there's different ways to make interest from that, right? You can play all of them on different drums, just move it around. That's interesting, okay? Especially for people who don't know drums, it sounds like you're making up a melody because you're making different sounds or different pitches, right? The other thing is leave out some, right? So you can make a rhythm from triplets by leaving some out, including some that creates a certain rhythm. So you mess around, try to find some things that sound kind of cool to you, and use that. Now, that being said, right there is you don't necessarily want to do the same rhythm for 8 measures. So it's not like you come up with like the perfect rhythm and I'm going to play it 8 times and that's going to be awesome. You could, not the most inventive, right? And not that would be horrible, because if it sounds good, okay, then that's a start, right? But it'd be great to get something a little beyond that, right? So you want to sort of have an idea and maybe what we would call develop it. And all that means is that you expand on it, or that you change it slightly, or you say a rhythm and then you say a different rhythm, and you go back to the first rhythm. You come back to it, right? And we'll get more into like structure a tiny bit later, but rhythmically you can do some different things, and that's a component of this whole thing. So not to make it too complicated, but you have these options that you understand. That's my main point right here, is that you have things that you could do that you actually understand at this point. So there's no reason to think, well, I don't know what to do. Well, you do and you don't, right? So you do know that it's in 4, you're going to be playing triplets. You know how to create rhythms with triplets. You know that, you know, if you use different sounds, it's going to sound like a melody, so that's helpful and interesting to people. All right, things you might not know is, well, how, and I kind of hinted at it already, which is, well, how do I make it, you know, interesting? How do I do that without it just being rambly, play a bunch of notes? And so I kind of gave it away a little bit, but one way is, a very common way to structure things is called call and answer. So the call is a certain thing. It's either a saying or a rhythm or a snippet of a melody or whatever. You play the call, which is in this case, say, a rhythm. Say one measure is a certain rhythm, okay? And then the answer would be a slightly different rhythm, a totally different rhythm, or something related somehow. And then you go back to the call, play that again, and then play a different answer. And you go back to the call, play a different answer, call, answer. You could do that 4 times with one measure each of the call and the answer. You'd have an 8-bar solo. Then it would have some structure, would sound like you put some thought into it. That'd be kind of cool, right? And you could do the same thing with 2 measures, right? You could do 2 measures of a call, 2 measure answer, 2 measure call, which same as the first 2 bars, 2 measure answer. There's your 8-bar solo. So there's lots of ways to structure that in the sense of like, well, pick one of those 2. That's probably the best thing to think of, and try that idea, right? So, as an example, right? Let me just give you a quick example. Say the call rhythm is this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4. Stop on 4. That's your call. And then the answer rhythm is it's got more holes, like there's more rests and things, so it sounds a little bit more interesting. I don't know what it will be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you an example just right now, randomly, make it up on the spot. Don't freak out. I've done this a lot, so you are not expected to be able to do what I'm about to do, but it's an example of this call-answer idea. Okay. So my call is that, the 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4, and then I'm going to answer with a different rhythm, and then I'm going to go back to the call, different rhythm, call, rhythm, and then stop on 1, and we're good. So here we go. A 1, 2, 3, and. So there you go. So hopefully that was fairly clear, right? Where you heard da 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 something else 3 4 da 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 something else 3 4, right? To be sort of silly. Sorry, I'm making myself laugh because it just sounds funny saying it that way. So that would be a way to make a solo up, and you would learn 5 measures of things, right? You have your call, and then you have 4 measures of something else. So what you could do is come up with a call. I wouldn't take mine, because that's not really the idea. Come up with your own, a variation on that, a totally different one, whatever, right? And then 4 other ones, and you could predetermine what you're going to play. You just don't, I wouldn't necessarily, well, you could write it out, I guess, but that's not the point, is to try to, I don't want you to read it, I just want you to play it. But you could take some time and practice, right? So if you play, so going back to my example, if I did this, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's okay, I guess, right? Well, I probably wouldn't use that. Okay, well then do another one, right? And then just keep experimenting until you go, oh, I like that one. That was cool. Do it again to remember it. And then if you want to write it down just to remember it, okay, that's fine. But just experiment. Like, get your call and then do some answers. And when you find one that you like, keep it. If you don't like what you played, don't keep it, right? And I'm keeping it, saying it that way, and then I want you to kind of think of it as, it's not that complicated to figure out what to do. You just have to take the time to do what I'm saying, in the sense of, well, just sit down and try some things, and if you like it, keep it. Great. It's that simple, right? So again, you're thinking triplets and all that. So that's one way to do this, right? Is to think call, answer, and go back and forth. It's a good way to do it. It's very simple and doesn't hurt your brain very much, and it'll be easy in concept, right? Another thing to do is think about playing, it's like not so much call answer, but think about how rhythm, kind of how rhythm flows, right? You've got rhythms that sort of connect to each other. Some rhythms are separate from others. Here's a separate kind of thing. right? Those are separated by rests, right? Connected rhythms, right? There's rests in there, but it's more connected. There's less space in between the notes, so that it seems more connected. So you could think more in the sense of like, I want to do kind of a connected thing, and then I want to do more of an open thing. That would be another way to think about it. Okay, and I want to touch on this. As you experiment, you could get into just constantly playing triplets and putting accents in certain places or toms. You don't need to do this, but this would be sort of a next step in the evolution of trying to figure out how to solo. But I want to throw it out there so you know, like, this is, you try a rhythm, call, answer, and then you try to think about, connected rhythms, open rhythms, or non-connected rhythms, and piece those together, right, to some degree. And then this one, where you're thinking more just constant flow of triplets with some accents. So I'll give you an example of that one. 1, 2, ready, and. Right, so that is, and it did more than what I needed, but just, and I got a little busy and all that stuff, but that's where it leads, right? You can start with just triplets, start adding in, you can roll some of the notes and experiment with like, where does that sound good? A hint on that is just roll the unaccented notes, right? Just work on that idea a little bit. If that's too much, ignore it, don't worry about it, just play triplets. And from there, then it's practice with the track, right? It's just turn the track on, try some ideas, make sure that you're keeping the tempo steady. That's what the track mainly is well, mainly it's about a little more interesting than just you. For you, it's not just you trying to play and make it up, but there's a band, you're playing along with the band. So it also tells me, right, are you going to rush in a solo situation? Are you going to keep the same tempo, that kind of thing? So that's part of what's going on here. So just keep the tempo steady, which implies keep it simpler so you can control the tempo. If you try to get the more busy you get, the more hurdles you set up for yourself to keep the tempo happening, right? The easier it is to make a mistake. So keep it simple. You don't have to get all crazy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll give you a couple of examples, right? So I'm going to turn the track on, and I'm going to do the call answer thing like I did before with the same call, different answers because I'm going to make them up. And then I'll let the track just loop again, and then I'm going to do triplets with accents, right? And I'll try to keep it simpler and not do crazy technical stuff. But if I do, it's just because it sounds cool to me. So anyway, so there you go. So 2 times through, call, answer 1, and then triplets with accents. So just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. And then if you got more questions, reach out. I'd be happy to clarify some more or just talk you through some other things. So here we go. 2 times through that with those ideas. Here we go. First one, call, answer. It's thinking. It's thinking some more. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Alright, so there's that one. That's call answer. Now the triplets with accents. Here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. So I would not put that on as a final product. so look, I was playing a little too loud, didn't hear the band, apparently I got a little excited. So it happens, right? So and I'm leaving this on purpose. I could have re-recorded this, but I want you to show, like, it's not going to go perfect. That's fine. Just go practice it again, right? The track doesn't care. They don't, I mean, that's actually not even people. That was me on a keyboard in a computer program. So the computer doesn't care. If you speed up, slow down, miss it, whatever, blow it, fine, just start over, no big deal. So I wouldn't have submitted that last one because I rushed I heard it and then I adjusted to get back on, but which is good too. But I would just re-record that and try it again, And if it's too much, then I go back to the call answer thing and make that easy, or do a simpler version of all of it, right? So that's my advice on this. If you have more questions, just reach out, no problem, and good luck with everything, and we'll see ya